I think you have to have a boundary. I really do. And I can really relate to what Megan was saying about lawyers and work just going on and on, because that's how it is for a lot of physicians too. You could just do your job 24 hours a day and you still wouldn't get everything done. So I think one of the biggest hurdles that you have to overcome is be willing to set a boundary and then be willing to keep that boundary. And those two things are really hard to do when you're driven and ambitious and trying to get your law practice up and running, I'm sure.
So, I'm sorry, Megan. What did you what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think I shared this example with you. I was working with a lawyer a couple years ago, based out of here in New York City, and she was at the very top of her firm. I won't say which firm, but a massive firm. It's internationally renowned, and she was the chairperson, or she became the chairperson when I was working with her. And she, as a woman, had worked so hard to get to where she was in her career. And I would often be like, hey, like, you're at a place where you can start to delegate tasks. Like, some of the stuff that you're doing, you could probably give to a junior lawyer. But she was like, well, I've worked so hard to get here. And I think in her mind, she was like, I still have to prove myself to stay where I am, especially because I'm competing in what is predominantly a man's world. And so it was really hard for her to like turn off, say no, like what Catherine is saying, set boundaries was and I'm imagining was a huge challenge.
Now, this is an interesting question that you raise, which is, you know, look, if you're a professional, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're in that world, finance, you're going to be working demanding hours. There's no question
Mhm.
about it. Do you see women having a different response to that challenge than men?
No, I think if anything, especially if it's a woman who's in what has historically been a male dominated field, like law is a good example, finance is another good example, even tech. I think there is this mentality of really feeling like they have to prove themselves in that industry in order to be heard, in order to be recognized. And if anything, I would say the stress load is almost higher just because of that feeling of having to prove your value in an industry that you historically have not been in.
I
Kat,
agree. I
I was
agree.
going to ask you what you thought about that, Kathy.
Yeah, I agree with her. I think that it's hard. There is elevated stress for women in a lot of different reasons. Not only because they have to prove themselves many times in very male-dominated professions, but also because women carry a lot of the emotional and physical work of the home too.
Hmm.
So they may be working super hard at their job and then they go home and they are the ones that are, keeping track of their kids' schedules and doctor's appointments and running the house and when they go grocery shopping and all that kind of stuff. And even when you look at partnerships where the man is doing a lot, usually he calls that helping, and
Hmm.
that's very telling in how it feels to a woman who's like trying to run everything, even if the man is helping a lot.
Right.